When you think about the Amish, you might picture them as people living completely off the grid. Maybe boiling water over an open flame or taking cold showers to build character. But the reality is way more fascinating. They've got some pretty clever methods for getting hot water without relying on power companies or propane deliveries. Now, before we jump into the details, it's important to know that there isn't just one Amish way. Each community decides what tech is okay and what's too modern. The ultimate authority? The bishop of each community. He determines everything from transportation choices to what fabrics they can wear. This leads to some communities being super strict, while others are a bit more relaxed. Now let's think about your hot water setup for a moment. You probably just flip a switch, wait a couple of seconds, and bam, steaming hot water. Pretty convenient, right? But what happens when the power goes out, or when a storm knocks down power lines? Suddenly, you're left with nothing but cold showers and a desperate call to the power company, hoping they'll send someone over soon. In contrast, the Amish have a completely different relationship with hot water. They aren't dependent on any system they can't fix themselves. If their hot water heater breaks, they just grab some firewood or kerosene and get it going again. No waiting around for someone to come save the day. It's all about self-sufficiency. So how do they do it? Let's break it down by community, from the most traditional to the more liberal. When most people think of the Amish, they usually picture the Schwartz and Traer Amish, about as traditional as it gets. These folks stay clear of modern conveniences and really value simplicity in a world that seems to get more complicated every day. While many of us are glued to our phones, these communities focus on doing things the old-fashioned way. No frills, just good old craftsmanship. In their homes, you won't find fancy showers or high-tech gadgets. In fact, many of their houses don't even have basic indoor plumbing. You'll see families working together, getting things done by hand. Imagine a family gathered around a wooden table, working in perfect harmony, kind of like an episode of Little House on the Prairie, but with less melodrama and more teamwork. Now, here's the secret to their hot water: good old cast iron stoves. These stoves are practically indestructible and do double duty by cooking meals and heating water simultaneously. Some families use kettles or large pots right on the stove to heat water, making it a true multitasking powerhouse. Let's talk efficiency. Many Schwartz and Traer homes are set up with gravity-fed pipes that carry hot water straight from the stove to where it's needed, like the bathroom or kitchen. Who needs a plumber when you've got physics on your side? It's like a hot water distribution system, straight out of a science experiment, but with a whole lot more practicality and less mess. So, how does it all come together? Picture this: a wood-fired stove sitting in the kitchen, radiating warmth and creating a cozy atmosphere. Families kick off their day by firing up the stove, heating water to wash dishes, while they whip up breakfast. If you've ever cooked on a wood-burning stove, you know it takes some finesse. Get the fire just right. Too little wood, and you're stuck with lukewarm soup. Too much, and you might just break a window trying to take a bath. Families often fill a big copper kettle that sits on the stove. This kettle becomes their hot water bank. When bath time rolls around, they simply drain the water, add some cold to warm it up, and voila, instant relaxation after a long day on the farm. Just imagine a teenager trying to figure all this out today. Asking them to heat bath water over a fire might feel like you're filming a medieval TikTok challenge. Can you picture the look on their faces when they realize that pressing a button for instant hot water isn't an option? Instead, they'd have to learn the art of wood burning and plan their bath times based on how quickly they can chop wood. Honestly, it could spark a new reality show for teenagers in the 1800s. Can they stand the heat? What's even cooler is how effective this whole method is. Schwartz and Traer homes usually have well-insulated kitchens, so the heat from the stove doesn't just vanish. They maximize their resources, making the warm atmosphere just as good as the hot water. This cozy lifestyle showcases a level of energy efficiency that we could all learn from, especially these days when rising utility bills and the complexities of modern life can feel overwhelming. Why not simplify things? But there's more to it. Relying on wood stoves involves a hefty dose of physical activity. Chopping wood, keeping the fire going, and managing the heat can feel like an Olympic event minus the medals and national anthems. But hey, those workouts come with a built-in reward: hot water and the satisfaction of having earned it. You've got to admire that spirit. With every log split and every kettle filled, these families are showing a level of resourcefulness that's hard to find today. No waiting on the utility company or dealing with leaky pipes. They've got their own system, and it's working just fine. Thank you very much. One thing that really stands out about the Schwartz and Traer way of life is how interconnected their methods are with their culture. Everything they do reflects their values of hard work, family, and community. Hot water isn't just a convenience, it's a tangible result of their labor. And let's not forget the joy of family time. Gathering everyone to chop wood or huddle around the stove feels more like a bonding experience than a chore. In a world where families often seem scattered, having a shared experience around something as simple as heating water is a real treasure. Now, when it comes to the Amish, the old order Amish are like the cool older sibling who has learned to embrace a bit of practicality while still sticking to their roots. They're slightly less conservative than the Schwartz and Traer folks, but still hold a strong aversion to getting too cozy with modern conveniences. Instead of outright rejecting technology, they adopt older, simpler tools that make daily life easier, so long as those tools don't rely on the electric grid or outside infrastructure. It's all about finding that middle ground where practicality meets cultural values. Living a simple farming life, the old order Amish maximize what they have. Picture a farm with well-kept fields and barns where families work together tending to crops and livestock. They've got a knack for taking older technologies and giving them a little twist to fit their needs, whether it's hand-cranking butter or using pedal-powered machines. Their approach is all about resourcefulness without compromising their way of life. Now, let's talk about their hot water game. These folks use gas or kerosene water heaters, but there's a twist. They keep it strictly off-grid. The independence that comes from using stored fuel means they can enjoy hot showers or wash dishes without hooking up to any mainstream utilities. Imagine having hot water in your home while others are stuck waiting for the power company to fix a downed line after a storm. The freedom is pretty sweet. The key here is straightforward. The heaters run on natural gas or kerosene, but they're standalone systems. Each family has their own tanks of fuel stored separately. This setup ensures they aren't tied into any public infrastructure that could leave them high and dry when things go wrong. It's like having your own little power plant, minus the corporate red tape. So how does this all come together in a typical old order home? First up, you have the gas or kerosene heater, which might look like a classic wood stove, but with a modern twist. These heaters use manual ignition systems, no need for fancy electronic starters. Just a simple spark to get the flame going, and voila, hot water is on its way. It's a reliable system that lets them control the heat without having to fuss with electronics that might fail them when they need it most. Using kerosene for heating water has been a dependable off-grid solution for decades. As surprising as it may seem to someone used to modern amenities, it's a bit like stepping into a time warp where practicality and simplicity reign supreme. When you think about it, it's quite impressive that a method dating back years can still stand the test of time and deliver the goods when it comes to hot water. Speaking of surprising, did you know that kerosene has been a popular fuel choice, not just for heating? Kerosene has been a popular fuel choice, not just for heating but for lighting as well. It's been illuminating homes and providing warmth long before the light bulb ever stole the spotlight. The old order Amish have simply taken this versatile fuel and adapted it for their heating needs, proving that sometimes the old ways are still the best ways. But let's not forget the unique challenges that come with this method. You can't just run to the store for more kerosene whenever you need it. It requires some planning, making sure those tanks are full before winter sets in. You know what they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of kerosene. Okay. Maybe they don't actually say that, but it certainly makes sense. The old order Amish place a high value on community, and this method of heating water reflects that. They often work together to share resources, maybe trading a few gallons of kerosene for a homemade pie or some freshly harvested vegetables. Now, if you thought the Amish were all about horse-drawn buggies and hand-cranked butter churns, you might be surprised by the New Order Amish. They're considered the most progressive of the Amish groups, relatively speaking, of course. They embrace technological advancements, especially those that promote sustainability and independence. For them, it's all about harnessing the power of the sun while keeping their values intact. Who wouldn't want a little sunlight to heat their bathwater? While some communities might shy away from anything that seems too flashy or modern, the New Order Amish see solar power as a natural fit. They recognize the importance of living harmoniously with the environment, and solar panels do just that. Rather than feeling like they're compromising, they view these technologies as tools that enhance their lifestyle while keeping them true to their principles. The method of choice for many New Order Amish families is solar water heating. You'll often see solar panels perched on rooftops, soaking up sunshine and converting it into hot water. It's like they've turned their roofs into personal suns. And honestly, who could blame them? These panels allow them to heat water directly without relying on those pesky external electricity grids that can be so unreliable. So how does it all work? It's pretty straightforward. Solar collectors capture energy from the sun and then heat water as it flows through tubes running through these collectors. The heated water is stored in insulated tanks, ready for action throughout the day. Whether it's time for a shower or cleaning up after a big family dinner, they've got hot water at the ready. No waiting for the power company to fix an outage or scrambling for a backup plan when the colder months roll in or the sun decides to play hide and seek for a few days. These families don't just cross their fingers and hope for a sunny day. They often have an auxiliary backup system, usually powered by kerosene or wood, to ensure that hot water keeps flowing. It's like having a safety net that makes sure they're covered come rain, shine, or snow. Here's a fun nugget of information. Solar hot water systems can meet up to 80% of an Amish family's annual hot water needs, even in households with 8 to 10 kids. Yes, you read that right. The panels are reliable enough to provide warm water year-round. It's impressive how they've taken something as simple as sunlight and turned it into an essential resource for the family. You can almost picture them having a family meeting, discussing their solar strategy over a pie. Now, how are we going to make this work in the winter while using modern renewable technology and staying off-grid? Now that's a skill. I once attempted to install solar panels myself, and let's just say that after the third trip to the hardware store, I became good friends with the cashier. The poor guy probably thought I was building a small solar-powered spaceship instead of just trying to heat my water. While the Amish make it look easy, probably because they're not distracted by cat videos or the latest TikTok dance trends, their approach is all about simplicity and practicality. You won't find any elaborate setups or complicated instructions. They just keep it straightforward and functional. It's refreshing in a world filled with gadgets and gizmos that often overcomplicate things. They know what they need and they go after it without fuss. What's fascinating is how this use of solar energy aligns with their community values. It's not just about individual convenience. It's about the whole family working together to make things work efficiently and sustainably. With a focus on teamwork, families often come together to install and maintain these systems. Just imagine all those families gathered on a sunny Saturday, working on the roof while sharing laughter, snacks, and probably a friendly competition about who can carry the most tools at once. The New Order Amish have shown that embracing some modern advancements doesn't have to mean losing touch with their roots. By integrating solar energy into their homes, the Amish aren't just being practical. They're making a statement about their commitment to sustainability and independence. It's like they're waving a little flag that says, "We can live simply and still harness the power of the sun." In our modern world, we often find ourselves depending on a single source for our daily needs, especially when it comes to heating water. Most households rely on electric or gas systems, which are convenient, sure, but what happens when that single source fails? Think about it for a moment. The average family might have their trusty electric water heater, confident that hot water is just a tap away. But if a storm rolls in and knocks out the power for a week, suddenly that convenience turns into a major hassle. Who's left scrambling for a way to bathe? You, with your gas bill looming overhead, or your Amish neighbor down the road, happily stoking the fire in their wood stove. The Amish communities thrive on their ability to be self-sufficient and resilient. They've mastered the art of always having a backup plan. Whether it's using wood stoves or solar panels, they have systems in place that don't rely on the whims of modern infrastructure. For them, the worst-case scenario isn't a big deal. It's just another day. They've designed their lifestyles around adaptability and independence. When the power goes out in your home and you find yourself waiting in line for bags of ice to keep things cool, the Amish are probably enjoying a warm bath, maybe even laughing about how many candles they'll need to light up the evening. What's truly fascinating is how this sense of preparedness translates into their entire way of life. You might walk into an Amish household and see that wood stove doing double duty, cooking meals and heating water. They're not just prepared for a rainy day, they're prepared for a stormy week. Here's a funny thought. If the world ever faced a post-apocalyptic scenario, the Amish would emerge as the true champions of survival. Picture it. While many of us are scratching our heads trying to remember how to start a fire without Google, the Amish would be luxuriating in hot baths, content as ever. Do you have a lighter, you might ask? Only to realize they've got everything under control with just some twigs, dry leaves, and a bit of patience. Let's face it, we've become somewhat reliant on our gadgets and conveniences. I mean, when was the last time you had to start a fire for heat or light? Meanwhile, the Amish have probably been honing their fire-starting skills since they were knee-high to a grasshopper. If anything, that reliance on a single source can leave us vulnerable. It's not uncommon to hear about families thrown into chaos because their electric system went down, or a gas line got disrupted. Suddenly, everyone is rushing to the local store to stock up on bottled water and canned goods, all while the Amish are quietly brewing their tea and living life as usual. When you look at the statistics, many people today live paycheck to paycheck, heavily relying on their utilities for daily comforts. In contrast, the Amish often have their own systems in place that keep them less affected by such external factors. They may not have the latest technology, but what they do have is a rich history of practical knowledge that keeps their homes running smoothly no matter what happens outside their doors. So as we carry on with our busy lives, it's worth reflecting on the resilience the Amish demonstrate. Their ability to adapt and thrive in their off-grid lifestyles offers us a lesson. Maybe we can all learn a thing or two about preparing for the unexpected, be it through home backup systems or just a good old fire-starting lesson. When you dig a little deeper into the various methods the Amish use to heat their water, you'll find a fascinating blend of practicality and simplicity that underpins their choices. At the heart of it all is a desire for independence. No matter if they're stoking a wood fire, firing up a kerosene heater, or harnessing the sun, their systems are designed to ensure self-reliance. These aren't just random methods. They're carefully selected ways to avoid dependence on outside systems or modern conveniences that can fail. You see, in Amish culture, the ability to fix things themselves is highly valued. If a wood stove goes out, the Amish don't have to wait for a technician to show up or rely on a complex maintenance schedule. They know how to troubleshoot the issue, light the fire again, and get back to business, like warming up that bath water for the evening. This isn't just about heating water. It's about maintaining control over their lives in a world that often feels increasingly chaotic. Now, let's talk about how this simplicity ties directly to their faith. For the Amish, the more complex a system becomes, the more they feel it pulls them away from what truly matters, family and community. Their faith encourages a lifestyle that prioritizes relationships. The Amish prioritize relationships and connection over materialism and technology. Just imagine trying to have a heartfelt family conversation when everyone is glued to their screens, checking the latest social media updates. Plus, it's hard to be distracted by TikTok when your hands are busy chopping firewood for tomorrow's bath. The Amish have managed to keep their focus on what really matters: often opting for simpler, more direct methods for everyday living. In many ways, the Amish approach to water heating serves as a microcosm of their lifestyle philosophy. They seek to eliminate unnecessary complexity, which fosters deeper connections among family members and within their communities. Hot water is just one piece of a larger puzzle that values practicality and straightforward living. It's almost as if every pot of hot water they heat symbolizes their commitment to maintaining a life unencumbered by the distractions of modern society. Now, let's dive into the cleverness that goes into their DIY water systems. The Amish are incredibly resourceful when it comes to creating practical solutions using what they already have. Their ingenuity shines through in how they adapt old machinery parts for water pumps or creatively modify wood stoves to serve dual purposes. Need a water heater? Why not repurpose a cast iron stove that's already providing heat for cooking? That's just practical genius at work, and it gets even better. Some Amish folks have taken recycling to the next level by converting old car engines into power sources for water pumps. Talk about using your noggin. Imagine going from road trips to roadside repairs just so you can have a hot shower. It's impressive how they find ways to keep old machinery in service rather than letting it gather dust in a junkyard. Let's be real. Who hasn't had a DIY project go awry? I once tried to build a birdhouse, and let's just say it ended up looking more like a bird condo. If only the birds had wanted to move in. The Amish, on the other hand, are pros at this stuff. Their creativity isn't just a means of survival, it's an art form that reflects their values and lifestyle. Statistics show that the average American household generates a significant amount of waste. In contrast, Amish communities embrace a recycling mindset that keeps materials in circulation longer. This not only reduces waste but also ensures that the resources they do have are utilized to their fullest potential. They may not have all the modern conveniences, but what they do have is often better maintained and more functional than many of our high-tech gadgets. This blend of practicality, simplicity, and faith culminates in a way of life that may seem foreign to many, but it offers a refreshing perspective on resilience and self-reliance. In a world increasingly obsessed with the latest technology, the Amish remind us that sometimes less really is more. While we might be scouring the internet for the best hot water heater reviews, they're out there crafting their own solutions with a level of confidence that many of us could only dream of achieving. As we wrap up this exploration of how the Amish heat their water, it's clear that their methods are rooted in resilience, simplicity, and self-reliance. While the rest of us might be lulled into a false sense of security by our modern conveniences, like that shiny electric hot water heater humming away in the basement, the Amish have built a lifestyle that allows them to adapt and thrive, no matter what Mother Nature throws their way. There's something undeniably admirable about their approach. The ability to take care of one's own needs, whether that means heating water for a bath or fixing a leaky roof, speaks volumes about their commitment to self-sufficiency. It's a refreshing reminder that we don't always need the latest gadget or the most convenient solution. Sometimes, knowing how to work with what you have is more valuable than any high-tech appliance. Now, let's not kid ourselves. We're probably not all going to be chopping firewood for our hot baths anytime soon. But perhaps we could all benefit from embracing a little more self-reliance in our own lives. While we might not be ready to boil water on the stove, we can at least take a moment to appreciate the effort it takes to bring that hot water to our taps. So, the next time your hot water runs out, instead of grumbling about the inconvenience, just thank your lucky stars. You're not outside chopping firewood in January. Embracing a bit of the Amish spirit might just help us navigate the bumps of modern life with a little more grit, and maybe, just maybe, a chuckle or two along the way.